and Monday. Happy Monday to you all. It's lunchtime. It's Monday lunchtime. And we are serving a very hot dish. A very hot dish this Monday lunchtime. Lunch is coming to you hot, delicious, and just mouth-watering. We have our regular question and answer, our regular Q&A session that we hold once a month. And here we are. What better way to start this week than to just do what we do and do it best? And so welcome, Karibuni sana, 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 welcome. Those who don't understand Kiswahili, Karibuni sana does not have a translation. There is no other way to say Karibuni sana. So just feel at home and feel welcome. So what are we doing today? What are we doing? What are we doing today? We have a guest today. We have a fantastic guest today, and we are talking about the customer experience of selling. So we're used to selling. We sell, we pitch, we push our product, we get people to know what we want them to buy, what we want them to pick from us, what service, what product, whatever. But have we ever thought about the customer experience of it? What is the customer experiencing? How can we use this customer's experience as we sell to them to get them to buy in, to own, to feel like I really gotta have this solution? So that's what we want to do today. And we have a guest in the house, This is John Kageshe. If you don't know John Kageshe, please pinch yourself. I invite you. I'm giving you room. I know your cameras are off, so just pinch yourself in secret. Pinch yourself if you do not know John Kageshe, because this good gentleman lives, breathes, eats business development excellence, personal development excellence, organization development excellence to get us to sell well, to operate well, to have great customer experience, to market well. These are his things. And we are privileged to have him here today to run with our questions and answers. So John has been doing this for over 25 years, as you can imagine. He's a sales guru. He writes, he's an author. He writes for the Business Daily, the local business publication. He consults, he trains, and he does this under the banner of Lend Me Your Ears. So please take note of that, lendmeyorears.co.ke. That's where you will find all the things he writes about, speaks about, the great speaker as well. And we have him here to take us through and to answer our questions. So let me stop sharing and invite you, John. Please say hi to the congregation. Say hello to the people before we start. Yeah.
Hello to the people.
Yeah, to the people, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do we want to run this 50 minutes that we have left with us? So we shall pose the questions that already came through, and John, you will answer them and tell the people, these good people, what you have to say about the things they are curious about, the things they want answers for. And then we'll open the floor later for people to ask questions. I pray we will have time to then ask questions and we can answer them. You can use the chat for that. Our chat box is open. It's alive. You can ask the questions using that. So let's kick off our Q&A, John. I hope you're happy to be here. Are you happy to be here? We are happy to be here. Please confirm. You know, confirmation is good.
Carol, whatever misgivings I had after such an enthusiastic introduction, I have no choice but to get infected by the enthusiasm. So absolutely, yes, I'm happy to be here.
Super, super. So let's kick in question number one. The first question that came through, John, because we had a form where people were asking questions and they were putting forward what they would like to hear from you. So there's a question that came in that said, I'm stuck on converting prospects into sales. And so I am not meeting my targets. John, what do you have to say about that? The person is stuck, they're not able to convert, and so they're not meeting their targets. How can we get unstuck, John?
Carol, to manage the time we have left, as you've said, and to merge, I think it's important that we focus ourselves on what the webinar is about, which is CX and EX.
Yes.
And to guide us throughout this session, I would like us to think of this quote, which is very, very pertinent to what we are doing now. And it's very relevant to this century. That nowadays we make a customer, not a sale. Make a customer, not a sale.
Right.
Now, there's a reason why I've said that, and I'm heading towards answering the question. There are many reasons from a selling perspective that conversion becomes a challenge. And so the context, there's no context around which the question has been phrased. I'll mention a few. Now, for those who are not in the know, a prospect is a potential customer. And anybody who is not a potential customer is a suspect. So for instance, if I am selling ladies tampons and in my report I have men, then for sure, those are suspects, they're not prospects. Now, a prospect is willing and able to buy. And assuming this person who asked this question genuinely does have a prospect and is not converting, then there is a challenge. So the first reason why converting is a challenge, it could be that sort of prospect is a suspect. The second, and as I said, a prospect is one who is ready, willing, and able to buy. So you could be willing but not able, you could be able but not willing, you could be willing and able but not ready. Right. So assuming the prospect is ready, willing, and able to buy, then why are they not converting? Now again, there are several reasons why. One, it could be something as simple as they don't like you. Incidentally, simple, absolutely, simply because the prospect doesn't like you. And I will use the term prospect and customer interchangeably. If the prospect doesn't like you, it's very unlikely that sale is going to go through. Another reason why a prospect is a challenge, converting is a challenge, it could be that the prospect was a referral to you. This is a mistake many salespeople make. I am referred to Carol by, say, let me pick a name here. Juguna Mburu refers me, tells me, Kagesha, whatever you're selling, go sell it to Carol. For sure, she'll take it up very quickly. She needs this. And the mistake I make is I go straight to Carol and I move straight to closing the sale. Big mistake. Now, selling is a process, and that process goes through something called a sales cycle. It starts with prospecting, ends with closing, and asking for a referral. And there are 7 steps in between prospecting and closing. Now, the mistake we make as salespeople is that once you're given a prospect, you refer to a prospect, you assume because they're ready, willing, and able to buy, they will automatically buy. No, they won't. And the reason is because you're talking to another human being. You must build a chemistry with them before they engage with you in the manner in which you want to engage. So the second reason why a prospect converting may be a challenge is because the 6 steps, the 5 steps before closing were assumed. Now the steps include interviewing, demonstrating, validating, negotiating before you get to closing. So simply because I've been told Carol is ready to buy, and then I go there and I say sign here, it's unlikely, very unlikely Carol will convert. So a third reason why the prospect conversion may be a challenge is because perhaps your conversion ratio, and this is something which is important to measure. What is your conversion ratio? Now, what's a conversion ratio? A conversion ratio is the measure, how many of your prospects convert to customers? How many of your prospects convert to, for instance, out of 10 prospects, how many convert to customers? Now, the general feeling of the salesperson is that all 10 should convert. That's an ideal. It's nice to aspire to. But if all your prospects convert to customers, then you do not have a job. I mean, what is your purpose? A machine can do that much more effectively. So if your conversion ratio is, say, 1 to 3, which is a pretty high conversion ratio, then wanting your prospect to convert to customers and you already have 1 to 3, or you've never measured, then it's an exercise in futility. You are getting frustrated over something which you've not measured to demonstrate whether it is indeed true. You should get frustrated. So now to recap, why prospect conversion is a challenge. 1, are you sure the person you have as a prospect is a prospect, and who's a prospect? Ready, willing, and able to buy. Number 2, is that prospect a referral? In which case, you just zoom in straight for the kiss without having built some chemistry with the prospect because of a referral? That could be another reason. Number 3, your conversion. Do you measure your conversion ratio? Because if you don't, then it will always feel frustrating when they're not converting, because you don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. To you, it just feels all bad. For instance, if you discovered that conversion 1 in 10 in your industry is extremely high and you're doing 1 in 8, then maybe conversion is not a problem. You should be patting yourself on the back, not feeling frustrated. So those are some of the things that would come top of mind as to why conversion is a challenge.
Right. Taking notes. Question. I think we are getting this all wrong, because referrals sound like we should just jump in and we should just refer.
Yeah,
I am taking notes that I should not just jump in and say, Kageshe told me to call you, bam, and move with the things that I want to. But I need to create chemistry. I need to understand the customer. And you have said we don't make sales. We
make a customer, not a sale.
Right. Fabulous. That's a tweetable tweet and a quotable quote. I'm running with that, though that's my new vocabulary from now going forward. Let me ask you the second question before we take some comments. There's 2 questions in one, and it's asking about the profile of the customer. How do I attract, the question, how do I attract high value customers? And the second question, which is still under profiling, is Gen Z customers. They don't want to commit to anything, especially if the product is long-term, the product sounds like it's something that would come from a different era. Gen Zs don't want to commit. So how do I attract high-value customers is a question. And then there's a question around Gen Z customers. Over to you, John. Talk to us.
One day we were doing, one day I was selling for a bank. And I remember let me rephrase that. When I used to sell for a bank, one day we were doing interviews, and so for salespeople. And so this gentleman comes in, and he was narrating his story thereafter, because the way he conducted himself during the interview, we did end up employing him, so I engaged him thereafter. So this is what happened. Where he used to work, he used to earn 24,000 shillings a month. And so during the interview, he knew he was going to be asked, how much do you want to be earning? And in his head, he was very clear. He was going to ask for 30,000, which seemed a reasonable figure from 24,000. And as with any interview, candidates come in, walk out. One of the candidates that was walking out was his friend. And so he very quickly asked him, how much are they paying? And his friend says, I don't know how much they're paying, but I asked for 40,000 shillings. So my friend here says, the gentleman in question here, in his head, he moved from 30 to 40. I mean, if his pal can ask for 40, why not? So lo and behold, he was called in. We called him in, and he sits down, and as is custom, towards the end, HR asks the question, how much do you expect to be paid? Gentleman started to say 40,000, and this is how it went. It went like and then ultimately he blurted out 30,000 shillings. And now, the reason why he did that is because in his head, 40,000 shillings was too much money.
Right.
So he couldn't bring himself to say 40 because it was so much money, way beyond what he had envisaged as 30.
Right.
Now I'll give you another anecdote. One of our customers, they sell holiday homes, and the holiday homes, someplace in the coastal, I guess, is non-Kenyans here. So around our coastal town of Mombasa.
Yes.
The cheapest holiday home is 65 million, and I think that was when they were having an entry.
Right.
A price, as in they have a offer, 65 million. And keep in mind, a 2-bedroom apartment, well, that's what you would convert it. Now, one of their salespeople, and the reason why they came to us, one of their salespeople, what she had done is she had developed an Excel sheet with projections of what 5 million can do in terms of rental income if you put up a rental income of flats. And when a prospect would call, she would tell the prospect, why would you want to buy 65 million instead of investing in a penthouse, in an apartment blocks? And just like that, the sale would get lost. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this anecdote is to demonstrate to you that high-end, high-level clients, one of the biggest stumbling block is the salesperson himself.
Okay.
If in your head that amount of money is too much, if in your head you feel like you don't belong, if in your head you feel like the it's beyond your league, then attracting becomes very difficult. For instance, for those of you who are on LinkedIn, how many of you, assuming you're not on an executive already, how many of you would feel comfortable seeking a connection with an executive? Would you reach out and ask to connect with an executive? And if not, why not? If an executive reached out to you, would you comprehend how to engage the executive, or would you start stammering? The biggest, one of the to attract high level, what do you call them, Carol? High level?
High value
customers. You must first of all, and I am not saying this as some cliche woo-woo, you must first of all feel high value yourself. If you are not feeling high value, it will be very difficult to do so. And I'll give you a third example. The very first job I remember on life insurance, and I had a team of salespeople, and I would encourage them, ask for instead of asking for monthly premium for customers to pay monthly premium, ask them to pay for the full year. So for instance, if they're paying 1,000 shillings a month, which is about $10 a month, instead of asking them to, it's $10 a month, tell them to pay 12,000 a year. And from the meeting, everything would look perfect. And they would say, yes, it makes sense. That way I only have to collect once a year instead of 12 times a year. Right. But then it wasn't happening until I followed through and I discovered something quite interesting. In the gentleman's head, he was struggling to pay his rent at that time of 9,000 shillings a month. So he was struggling to pay. So he couldn't understand how somebody else would part with 12,000 because of something that is not rent. So this is the number one challenge of salespeople attracting high value clients, because high value client is many times at a scale higher than you on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you're unable to take a mental flight, it becomes a challenge. Now, keep in mind, this can happen because if you look at gentlemen who sell high-end vehicles, a vehicle worth 16 million, for non-Kenyans, just divide whatever I say in shillings by 100 to get dollars. The gentlemen selling vehicles 16 million shillings, 20 million, even 10 million shillings worth of vehicle, most likely don't own a vehicle. But that doesn't stop them from engaging such prospects. So one, take a mental flight. First of all, see yourself worthy of high value. Number two, then engage with this prospect in terms of, number two, appreciate you are there to share information, not to compete. You're not there to compete with them. They know you are not in their league, but they also know that they require the information from you. So you're there to engage. You're not there to compete. And then thirdly, learn to speak their language. High value customers speak a very different language from non-high value, for lack of a better term. Now, high value here, I'm assuming, for instance, it is gentlemen who, if you're selling wealth creation, these are gentlemen who you want to give you 100 million in terms of 50 million to deposit and grow for you. So if that's the case, then you don't have 50 million shillings for investment. But their language of communication is very different from yours. And now, if you are talking language, let me practicalize this. If they ask you how the stock exchange performed yesterday and why this share is struggling, and you don't have an answer, then you're not of the same league. If they mention what about the dollar rate and dollar exchange rate, and why investing in, let me hypothetically speaking, say Bitcoin is not a better option, and you're stuck, then you're not in the same. So one, get out of yourself.
Yes.
Two, because you're not selling to yourself. Detach yourself from the customer you're selling to. Then number two, start to speak their language.
Right.
And their language is most likely not yours. And number three, know it happens. Because as I said, individuals who sell high-end vehicles can't even afford those vehicles themselves. But they do it every day. Right. That's not about the same question. Now, coming to Gen Z and quite aligned to what I'm saying, make a customer, not a sale. If this person is struggling to sell to a Gen Z, most likely they are not. And if you're approaching a customer, a prospect in the same traditional way you are, this is a very different ballgame completely. Now, understanding who they are and what they value would be very useful. Now, having said that, it is useful to understand how, for instance, how do they want to engage? The lady who sells, the most successful sales lady for life insurance for a company in Nairobi,
yes,
called Prudential, sells through TikTok. Now, if you ask the traditional salesperson, they would be shocked to hear that you can sell life insurance through TikTok. And she's the most successful. Now, she has appreciated the market she's selling to, where it is to be found, and how it wants to engage is very different from the people. So how are you engaging this Gen Z? Are you still become proverbial here? Are you mixing old wine with new skin? How does that go, Carol? Is that correct? Are you mixing old wine with new skin or something like that? Are you using old ways for a different generation? That could be a reason. Number two, could it also be that right now the insurance sector, like most of the sectors, but let's say insurance, because it's struggling a lot, especially retail life insurance. Why it is struggling? Because the nature of the economy is quite constrained. Now, because it is constrained, and for those who are employed, you know what has happened to your pay slip. It has gotten new taxes which have gotten new deductions approaching 50%. Now, what does that mean? It means that you're financially constrained. Now, if you're financially constrained, quite likely the first thing that you're going to knock off is insurance. I mean, if you can't eat now, if you can't buy, between buying food now and saving for a possible something that might happen, I think logic dictates and self-preservation dictates. Let me take care of now. Tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yes.
So, one, are you using old tools to address a completely new market? And this Gen Z, as they call, are 70% of the population. So hypothetically speaking, 7 out of 10 of the prospects are Gen Zs. You might want to rethink how you're engaging them, because how they want to be engaged is very different from how we've been engaging before. And so that, and number two, is it an industry-wide problem, because if it is, you may want to completely look at it differently. If it's an industry-wide challenge.
Right. Yeah. You know, John, you're talking about the customer, knowing the customer, listening to the language the customer is speaking in so that you can speak that language, understanding the environment the customer is operating in so that we can have an appreciation of that, so that we can sell and have a connection and create a new customer, not really sell, but create a new customer by knowing and understanding who the customer is, what's going on with them, how they are thinking, what's in their environment at this time, when is this that you are selling based on what is prevailing, and how you are going about it. It sounds so much like I need to know myself before I go and create a new customer. Absolutely. That's what I'm picking from you, John.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And given that I am my own first customer, I cannot sell, I cannot go and grab a customer, and I am my own first customer, John.
Yes, absolutely. But how you're selling to yourself, just to contextualize this, is very different from how you engage yourself. Very different from how you engage the customer. For instance, if I am a waiter at a 5-star hotel,
yes,
and the best I do in terms of drinks is uji and tea. And here I am required to sell some high-end wine or high-end. I mean, really, there's no uji, and even the tea in a 5-star hotel costs much more than it does in my local kiosk. Now, how I engage myself, how I sell to myself. If I sell to myself, I'm inadequate. If I sell to myself that this is a waste of money, if I sell to myself that I don't belong here, then that will now translate to a customer. If, however, I say to myself that I am not here to compete, I am here to inform, and one bottle of wine is about there's some bottles of wine I'll be selling which are 3 times my salary, and I am okay with that. Then I engage the customer and tell him that a tot costs 40,000 shillings without stammering. Otherwise, if I haven't sold to myself, then I will start stammering on a figure I'm mentioning for a tot of a drink, which is my 3 months salary. I cannot do that. So yes, how I engage myself, how I sell to myself is different. It has to be informed. Nonetheless, I am there to make a customer, not a sale.
Yup. Yeah, I'm doing this because every time a point comes home, I feel like just like stars are shining. John, I am picking that I need to tell myself I am a vessel of information. I am a vessel through which value is coming. I am a vessel to transfer knowledge, to transfer solutions. That's what I should be saying. Instead of I need to sell, I need to sell. Because if I'm needing to sell and I can't even fathom my own self consuming the thing, then that will overcome me. And this then segues very well into the next question, John, because pick it up. The person is asking, salespeople, our morale as salespeople takes a beating. How can a salesperson morale and productivity be maintained and keep alive in the face of so many rejections? And you know, John here is saying salesperson, but we are all salespeople. I don't feel like there's a bracket somewhere for salespeople. So how can we keep our morale up, John? We are struggling.
Carol, let me backtrack a bit about the high-end, high value. Now, if I am selling to myself, and for sure I struggle with feeling like I belong, I struggle to feel like this is out of my league, there are exercises you can engage with to help you grow. For instance, most salespeople who want to attract high value prospects, customers, and I will use the word terms interchangeably, though they mean different things. One of the things I encourage them to do is they expose themselves to high value customers. For example, if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with attracting high value customers, I challenge you, I encourage you, pick the phone, call an estate agent who has houses in a high-end place, for instance, Karen for Kenya, and look for a house for which the rent is something like 200,000 shillings. As I said, for non-Kenyans, divide by 100. So 200,000 shillings, a figure for sure you know you can never afford. But that's not the purpose. Call them and say you want to see the house. Now, for most salespeople, they can't do that. Now, the very fact that you can't do that, it means that in your head, it's too much for you. So you might want to scale down lower, come to a house that's 100,000 shillings or 50,000, but then build towards that. Because stop and think about it. Viewing the house is not going to cost you anything. You're just going to see. But the capacity to be able to ask and go and see, that in itself builds your esteem and builds your, what's the word? English escapes me. But the capacity to be able to engage with that clientele. For number two, if it's not a house, what is your dream car? For instance, if it's a Toyota Land Cruiser, you go to the dealer and say you want to buy the vehicle and you want to test drive it. Now, for most salespeople, that even if it's my dream car, the very fact that it costs way, way above what I would afford, can't even think of asking for it. Fine. If it's too much for you, then come down a bit lower. Go to a mall you've never gone to, and go see a high-end mall. Go sit there and ask for a cup of tea or a soda. Soda is easier to work with. But let's sit in that environment and consume your soda, even if it'll take you an hour. But consume it and get comfortable. And while you are there, when you're done, walk into a shop, ask for a jacket or an item of clothing that is way above your can afford, and say you'd like to try it on. It's free. But the confidence which you're building, in fact, that's the word I'm looking for. You're building confidence to be comfortable around figures which you cannot afford, but you have no challenge speaking about. Now, back to your question. The truth of the matter is selling is an emotional job. You will have highs, you will have lows, you will have days you feel trodden on, there are days you will feel on top of the world, there's the days you close, there are days. This is the nature of selling. And this is a thing which is very profound for us to understand. If for those selling is not a desk job, and we must stop comparing it to a desk job. For a desk job, work comes to you. In selling, you look for the work. That is an added effort significantly. As a desk person in a desk job just has to sit, and voila, work comes. A salesperson needs to go out. Now, when you go out, there are two things that you're going to face. One, the fact that in the last century, and I digress for good reason, the last century, salespeople, selling was different. Then we made sales, not customers. What is the difference? In the last century, Carol, and everybody else, what would happen is you would come approach a salesperson. They, for instance, you approach me, and I'm a travel agent, and you want to fly to Mumbai. You are stuck with what I tell you. I mean, what other option did you have? The only option you had was to go to another travel agent. So how many would you go to? Very few. So, and salespeople had all the knowledge, and customers didn't depend on the salesperson. They didn't have anything else. Now, unfortunately, many salespeople messed up the dynamic. Salespeople ended up lying. Salespeople ended up shortchanging customers. Salespeople ended up making a quick buck. Salespeople ended up selling because they had the information the customer did not. Enter the 21st century, and the ball game has fundamentally shifted. Because of the internet, the customer most likely has more information than you. Let me demonstrate to you how profound that is. One day, I'd taken my son to hospital. He had a wound that was not healing. It was taking much longer to heal. Then when I took him to the doctor explained something to me. But then she saw something on my face, which later on I accepted was doubt. And then she asked me a question which I found blew me away. She asked a question and we both burst out laughing. She asked me, "What did your Google search show?" And we both burst out laughing. Because that is the reason why I was having doubt on my face. Because what she was telling me and what Google had shown me were two different things. Now keep in mind, I know zero about medicine, but here I am questioning the prognosis of a doctor. I mean, really. But that's the 21st century we are in. The customer of the 21st century is not one you make a sale with. It's somebody you make a customer. Now, coming back to the question about the dynamic of today and the salesperson feeling that what can they do, is first of all to appreciate that we salespeople messed up the market in the last century. So from the word go, customers are already prejudiced against it. They don't want to be sold to. Customers want to buy, but they don't want to be sold to. Huge difference. Now, one of the ways in which you can manage your feelings of ups and downs and everything else, and primarily normally that happens when you're feeling rejected, is to borrow from the hawker. If you look at a hawker in traffic, and I'm assuming everybody here comes from either is Africa, you know what a hawker is. Gentleman in traffic who moves from car to car. Now you can imagine if that hawker felt dejected with every rejection. I mean, he'd never sell. But what happens when you roll up your window? He moves on to the next car. What happens if you wave him? He just moves on to the next car. He does not dwell on the issue. And the reason why he's able to do that, and this is the lesson I'd like us to learn, one of the ways of managing your emotions is to make sure you always have a constant flow of prospects in what is called your pipeline. You always have, like a hawker, if you are a hawker is looking at what, 100, 1,000 cars, really, so that Carol rolled up her window, I just move on to Kageshi, I'll just move on to the next person. But when you're limited in the number of prospects you can go and meet, selling will become very difficult for you. Because you have 2, 3 people, they all say no that day. Your day is messed up. Or they dismiss you. But one of the most effective way of overcoming rejection is having a huge pool of prospects you can engage with.
Right.
Now, I would also encourage you, because is to convert activities in selling to habits. And I would like to refer you to a book called Atomic Habits. The habits are extremely effective for salespeople. And because then it converts woo-woo things to habits. If you do activities to habits. And if I am struggling with prospecting and I fear people telling me no, they don't, and yes, because it can start from there. What can I do? And it gives you practical tips on how to create effective habits, which, again, measurable. Now, the beauty of Atomic Habits is in addition to its practicality, is its measurability. Because sometimes I could have 100 people I'm calling today, and then the 4th person responds to me in such a curt manner, it messes up my day, and I forget I have another 96. And if I am not measuring how many of the calls I make do I get this one call that completely demoralizes me, then I will always feel demoralized because I magnify the problem. But it could be that out of every 100, it's only one call that I get this madman in the market who tells me off in such a manner. So the question then becomes, how do I manage that emotion? Now, please note, I am not suggesting that with my experience in selling, I do not have my ups and downs. I still do.
Yes.
You always will be, because it's a highly emotional, you're engaging with human beings every day. What I am saying is, one, appreciate we are the ones that messed up the market, because when the dynamic was in our favor, we took advantage of it negatively by feeding information to customers, which was going to benefit us. So the 21st century customer now is saying, I have more information than you. So be careful how you approach me. So engage with customers in terms of pulling them in and not pushing as we used to. How do you pull them in? By sharing information that is useful, by having seminars like this and them engage. There's no commercial exchange here. By also in having a huge pool of prospects, because you will still get, every market has its madman who will tell you off in such a manner that is so. And thirdly, using atomic habits to help you manage your emotions, especially when they are when you are down.
Wow. My take home, I love the practicality. I tell you, you have given me express permission, Kageshe, to go and sit in luxury vehicles and go and look at $1 million dresses in the mall.
Not just look at them, try them on.
Or try them.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're being charged for it. It's free to try.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I will do that homework this week and report back. I love that you're challenging us to read also and to go look for atomic habits and not just read, to action as well, and then manage our mental state of mind. This is a job where we are going to have to go out and look and not sit and receive. And when we measure, for sure, one bad experience is not going to upset the entire apple cart as against the one bad apple as upsetting the whole apple cart. Here we are revising that one conversation. I have many more conversations to have. I will pick myself. I feel bad because I will feel bad for sure. I'm a human being and it's highly emotive. But I will pick myself up and I will keep going like that hawker in traffic. Mzuri sana.
Just move on to the next person. Yeah, and you're right, Carol. It does. It stings. By the way, let's be clear. Rejection stings. I am not this. It stings.
Yes, it does.
But now, how you manage that?
Yeah.
But when you magnify it to messing up your day, your week, and everything else, then you look at the hawker. You can imagine if they carry themselves in that, they'd never work.
Yeah, true that. You know, I'm digressing just for a minute, but I'm wondering, John, you see the way rejection stings, we sort of take it as a reflection of ourselves and our worth when we are rejected. I wonder now whether we can mentor the next generation, not just of sales, of everybody who is under our authority, the people that look up to us, the ones we mentor, our children, young people, etc., to know that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It's just an incident that has happened. It's just a scenario that has come to you, so that it doesn't cause me to stop doing what I am doing. I will, just like that hawker, keep going, feel the feels because we are human, and keep going. Yes, I am. That's my homework.
Funny enough, Carol, should mention that. Let me continue with my hawker example. And you engage a few of them. It's quite interesting what they tell you. They'll tell you. So when they roll up the window, some of the responses have been given. Maybe Carol is having a bad day. Your customer, as in it is, they don't personalize it, they externalize it. And one even said, maybe they don't want to buy my wipers. Tomorrow, if I'm selling lanterns and the lights are gone, they'll roll down their window. And true, today's rejection is tomorrow's acceptance. So I, at the risk of repeating myself, and what Carol has also said, I am not dismissing the issue of feeling quote unquote bad. Rejection stings. I am encouraging you to learn how to manage it.
Got it. I want to ask the last question on the list, and then we can possibly, if we have time, take questions from the chat. There was a question that came through about, please comment on pricing as a sales strategy. John, we've seen all kinds of things around pricing. There's interesting things, very, very weird things sometimes. What's your take on pricing?
Well, the question is very big because strategy is a very big thing. Strategy is way beyond operational things like we're talking here now. So at a strategic level, if you've decided price is the way you're going to move, then at a strategic level, and that's okay. For instance, if I may move away from Kenya to use a more global example, Ryanair is an airline. I think it's based in UK, and they're very clear. They tell you if you find an airfare cheaper than us, come, we'll give you a refund. Now, Ryanair does that, and Ryanair has zero frills. In fact, last I checked, the CEO was talking about figuring out how we can have no seats in an airplane, and that is their thing. Now, locally here we have, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Carrefour, the supermarket. In Carrefour supermarket says they'll give you the lowest prices. If you can get another price lower than us, then that's a strategic level that they have chosen price as a strategy, and it works for them. Now, is that a sustainable strategy? If that is you use as a strategy and it works for you, then that's different. That's strategic. Coming to a selling perspective, which is extremely operational day to day. If you're asking, is price the way I want to, if I want to sell a price, if I am selling, for instance, a commodity, and what is a commodity here? If I am selling for an oil manufacturing company, for instance, I am selling for let me use, we all know Total Energies, we all know which is the global one, we all know Shell, Vivo, all their products are the same. And if I am selling that, and I am hoping that if that's what you're asking, the person who asked that question, can I lead with price? Then I would I would highly discourage you to do so. Because if that is not your company's strategy, and the company's strategy being price, it's different. But if you're selling hoping that you're going to differentiate yourself with price, then it becomes a spiral downwards. One of our customers, it's a five-star hotel, customers who know that their salespeople do what? Their salespeople cannibalize each other. What do I mean by that? Assuming Karo and I are selling for a five-star hotel, then customer, I'm seeing we have a Lena as a customer comes and asks me for a quote for a standard room, and I give her the quote. But because she knows we cannibalize against her, she then goes to Karo and asks for a quote below the figure, and it keeps on going to every salesperson, and to get a lower and lower and lower cost. Now, the challenge of that, of course, business can't sustain itself like that. But you as a salesperson, you are unable to grow your selling muscle. What you're not going as a salesperson, you're going as a price warrior. And as a price warrior, you will always feel frustrated because customers will always want a lower price. And when you're a price warrior, you are incapable of demonstrating value. Now, let me demonstrate what do I mean by value. If I am selling lubricants, as I said, for an oil manufacturing company, and my lubricant is the same price, I could either choose to wait for Boda Boda is what we call, Boda Boda, help me with tuk-tuks, what about scooters? I'm looking for non-Kenyans here. Karo, help me out, Boda Boda.
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle, thank you very much. Motorcycle riders. And I can choose to wait for them at the petrol station, or I can choose to go to where I can find them in terms of their shed. Now, if I engage them where they're normally parked, that shift in itself has an emotional connection to it. I am seeking to make a customer. I am not waiting for you to come to me and sell to you. No, I'm going to where you are and explaining to you why this lubricant is of benefit to your motor vehicle. I'm sharing and medicating you. There I am making a customer. And therefore price, when you make a customer, price tends to fall off the way. When you are able to demonstrate the value that you have as a salesperson in terms of the product that you're selling, it fundamentally shifts the conversation. Now, I am clear also that at the times we are in, for instance, as an economy right now, you may find that price is what you're leading, but even that's a business decision. So strategic, it says we can't keep on asking for the same prices we're asking for because of the way the economy is right now. So that's a strategic decision. If as a salesperson you are leading with price, you're only growing as a price warrior, not as a salesperson. And you are it means you're struggling to demonstrate value of what that is that you offer. Now I will give you a tip to help you. Next time customer says your price is too high, which typically manifests itself in the question you asked, that has been asked, then you indicate to them price is what you pay, value is what you get. Let me demonstrate to you the value you get with our product. Now that fundamentally shifts the conversation. If you are selling to an executive, for instance, a CEO, and you go with price, and if, however, you go to the CEO and tell them, I'm going to reduce your operating costs by 30%, that's a conversation they want to have because you've led with a value. Yes. So to your question, comment on price as a strategy, it's a very loaded question, a very big question. And I've separated strategy from operations. If it's a strategic decision, that's it. That's it. We're not. It's what has been strategically decided. If, however, you are asking for price for me, the salesperson, day to day, I'm looking to undercut, then that I am growing weaker, the salesperson, because I'm becoming a price warrior, and it means I'm incapable of demonstrating value, and I will always feel frustrated because I am pushing for us to go down to the bottom of the barrel. And what happens is I then come back to the office, and now I want the office to bend to fit into this new price I have given, which is impractical. And anyway, long story short, my muscle of the salesperson continues to weaken, and never really grow the salesperson.
Right. Amazing, amazing. You know, John, I'm picking that price is what you pay and value is what you get.
Absolutely.
For sure. 2, I need to avoid being a price warrior. I don't even like the sound of that. I refuse to be called. I refuse to be called by that name. There are many names I accept to be called by, but price warrior is not one of them. Not me, not my portion, not my name, not my identity. We cancel all of those price warrior things, and instead we want to get to have emotional connection with customers and to offer value. What's the value there? Like you've said, this high value, high net worth person that you want to sell to that executive. If I talk value in terms of operational efficiencies, in terms of cost control, in terms of the language they want to hear, that's value. Then they will listen to me. I need to go over to the border shed and create rapport, create connection, create alignment, create stickiness, rather than just sit and wait. After all, you told us this is not a desk job. This is Nikujituma. Now, please, John, please, what is Kujituma for the non-Swahili speakers?
I think it doesn't, like Karibuni, it doesn't quite translate, but nonetheless we will try. It means take initiative. Take initiative.
Yes, take
initiative. And by the way, Carol, using the same example of the Buddha shed, you see, one of the challenges that we have is that you will get I am selling for this oil company. I mean, I am Shell, I am Total Energies. How can we are. So you have this self-elevated sense of misguided self-importance. You can't see yourself going down to the shed to talk to the motorcycle fellows. And yet, that is where the difference is going to be made, that connection, because this is 21st century. I look like we are winding down, and just like a quick recap, Carol, and I know this is your
before you recap, John, the reason why I put this here is because I don't want to miss it. If you want to find this good gentleman, please take a screenshot of this, take a look at it. This is the email, this is the site or website I was talking about. Please give us your recap. And then I also want to say that there's 2 questions in the chat which we are not going to be able to answer. But we have put the WhatsApp link in the chat, and so therefore please ask the questions there. We shall answer them in the WhatsApp chat. Over to you, John.
Yeah, it's important that we appreciate that we are in a very different era right now. We are in the 21st century. And the customer of the 21st century is very different from the customer of the last century. The customer of the 21st century is much more engaged, it's much more informed.
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, I'm going to say something which is going to grate against very many nerves and will be a shocker.
Yes.
21st century customer is promiscuous.
You're promiscuous?
Absolutely. Woo, everybody here who is Kenyan, most likely on their phones, have 2 ride-hailing apps. They have an Uber and they have a Bolt. They most likely have 2 lines. They have a Safaricom and they have an Airtel. because of the options and what do they do? I am told Bolt is cheaper, so we take Bolt. Ladies tell me Uber at night, they prefer it because it's safer, which, by the way, answers the question of cost. Now, when you appreciate the 21st century customer, that's where the promiscuity comes in. Because they have so many options, and the options are a button away, how you engage them fundamentally must differ. It cannot be business as usual. It differs fundamentally, and it differs from pushing to pulling. You engage them. You do not sell to them. You engage and bring them to your world. That is why YouTube has subscribers. That is why e-commerce has reviews, because you are no longer in charge of the narrative. You as a salesperson or you as a business. It is the customer that is. And this customer is spoiled for choices. Hence why the promiscuity.
Wow. I'm not accepting promiscuity. I refuse. But spoiled for choice, I love. Options, I love. We are that one. And so, but we get you even with the shock therapy that you've thrown out. Indeed, we need to be able to have the customers experience us in a way that they feel emotionally engaged. They feel like value is coming to them. They feel that we are not pushing, we're actually pulling them in and drawing them in. We are not making sales, we are making customers.
Absolutely.
That is the take home. That is the take home. Good people, we have insufficient time. We have come to the end of our program today. Maybe we might need to call John back another time, and we will do this every month. Please join the WhatsApp forum, and we can have more Q&A in there. But before, yes, we will send you the recording. Absolutely, we will send you the recording. John, before I let you go, and I know you've had a beautiful recap. We've taken notes. What's your parting shot? What are your last words to us before we jump off this beautiful, delicious, fantastic gourmet lunch that we have had and go off to do our Monday things?
Make a customer, not a sale.
Make a customer, not a sale. Right. Great. Good people, you have had it. I don't want to say from the horse's mouth. John, I will not call you a horse today. You have had it from the guru himself. You have had it from our great subject matter expert. You have had what it is we want to do and how we want to do it. And we have our usual quote. We can never end without this quote. John, this is our signature quote. That delightful experiences do not happen by default. They are as a result of intentional is what you've been saying the whole day today, intentional design to ensure that the outcomes exceed our customers' expectations. And so therefore, those customers that we're going to make, because we're not going to make sales, we are going to exceed their expectations by intentional design. That's it, good people. Thank you very much for coming. John, asante sana. I can only blow you kisses. Do you receive the kiss?
Absolutely.
Receive the love, we've just out of the month of love, but we are continuing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise. Good people, knock on his door, run to his website, look for him, send him emails. We've said Kujituma. Kujituma, John, you said is what?
Taking initiative.
Taking initiative. So bye, everybody. Have a beautiful afternoon. Bye, John. Thank you very much. We do this again.
Thank you for having me.